You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the July 5th meeting of the Michigan City Sanitary Board. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
I'd like to convene the Board of Commissioners regular meeting Wednesday, July 5th. Was rescheduled from June, so this is our June meeting on July 5th, 2023 at 4 p.m. So I'm going to do a roll call. Holt Ettinger.
Present.
Tim Warner.
Present.
Chris Yagowski. And Tim Smith is present. So we have a quorum. All right, can I get approval of the last board minute meetings from May 24th?
If you have any questions, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
I will second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Any public comment? Now is the time for public comment, if anyone has any. Any public comment? Seeing none, we're closed. We don't have any bids, huh?
Lincoln, having a sewer replacement.
Yeah, did you have any?
Before.
No, there are no bids. There are no bids, sir.
All right.
That was from last month.
That's
All
what I
right,
thought.
thank you. Okay, Dan? Safety report, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good.
Happy Independence Day.
Good night.
All righty.
First of all, Mr. Smith, I have a corrected copy of my report.
Okay.
It's right there.
Thank you.
In the month of May, we did not have any recordable injuries, which is, we continue on with that trend. But however, in June, I must mention that we did have a recordable injury when an employee dismounted from the side step of the refuse truck, and the employee stepped on some loose concrete and rolled their ankle. But that employee is back to work. So that in the month of June. So we continue on with a good trend compared to previous years. And then what I'd like to do, I'd like to direct you to the last page. And on the last page, GIS was kind enough to provide a chart here that goes through the month of April. And in there we can see that we're moving along pretty well on cost. You know, we're very much focused on injury prevention from the standpoint of pain and suffering and eliminating that and all that goes with injuries, but also there's a cost issue associated with that. So this indicates our workers' compensation cost. And so if we look here, what I've highlighted in yellow, so far in 23 through the month of April, we have less than $4,000 total incurred amongst all departments. And we do have one of note that we need to keep our eye on as far as a cost standpoint goes. And that's an injury that occurred in December of 22 when a refuse employee slipped on some ice. And that employee's had to undergo a surgery, has to undergo another surgery. If we look at the past couple years, injuries resulting from same level falls, ice, it's really very costly, to our district. Not only the pain and suffering that the individual goes through, and also the caregiver in taking care of that individual, but also the cost associated with it. And that's not unique. That's pretty much in line with what we see nationally. So we continue to work on that and emphasize how we might prevent those types of injuries. I do have a number of activities that we participated in. It's listed on page 3. A good deal of training that was conducted. I've described that, I think, in pretty good detail right there. So I'll just let you take a look at that, and if you have any questions or comments, I'm happy to entertain those. Good bit of training by LTAP. We continue to enjoy a good relationship with Purdue LTAP, and it's really a good service that they provide.
Looks like you had, based on the picture, a good turnout there for your house.
Yeah.
We had a great turnout.
Yeah.
Great turnout.
That's really good, Dan.
Okay.
Well, really appreciate it. I mean, with the number of claims so far this year at 4, opposed to a couple of the other years where there was 18 on 23, 22 there was 30, 21 there was 22, and 20 there was 15 for a total of 89. The district is doing very well this year. So what I'd like to do with this, if you would, Dan, did you send it to Councilman Prevolinski?
No, I have not, but I'd be happy to do that.
Would you do that, please? Or Mike, would you guys forward this on? Because I know
Yes, sir.
that he had asked about, where we were with all of this. And, this is great news for the district. It's great news for our employees that they're taking the safety and everything very seriously. And it's my hats are off to the executives and the management that, they're also doing what they should to be making sure that we don't have any, we lessen the blow of accidents and incidents and what have you.
That's right.
So, do either one of you guys have any questions at all?
No, I just think this is actually probably more than what Mr. Prevolinski
Was asking for it.
Yeah.
I think he was
So-
just looking at number of claims or occurrences
Yeah.
and stuff, but this will be nice.
Yeah.
It was nice to have.
Yeah.
What I hope to do in the future, with the help of GIS, and they're great to work with on this, we can have a quarterly summary, so then we can compare year on year by quarter to see how we're looking as far as cost goes. If we made a big assumption right here that, say, for example, in 22, we look at that 178.5, and if we just make an assumption that it's around, so if we divide it about 60,000 through April, 4,000 is about 7% of that, comparing time period with time period. As we get more data on a quarterly basis, we'll be able to look at that more accurately to show that where we're making progress, where we need to do more work,
Yeah.
and those types of things.
So, one quick question for you guys. Will we have an uptick in the summer because of a lot of the building, what we've been discussing with people putting more garbage out on the curbs and our individuals having to pick it up with injuries with nails or whatever? I mean, I know you provided the right safety gear for them, and the district has, but just out of curiosity, just because of the season, I mean, I would think, falls and slips, like you and I talked about in the first quarter of the year, we didn't really have any of those, pretty much. And I think it's, a tribute of you sending those messages out and some of the other proactive stuff that we're doing, so.
Well, a lot of work by the foreman, a lot of work
Yeah.
by employees looking out for one another.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, the answer is no.
Okay.
So we have not seen an uptick in injuries. We want to continue with that. Obviously, we're only halfway through the summer, but so far we have not seen an uptick in injuries related to the pickup. So that means that they're handling these non-routine tasks in a relatively safe manner,
That's great.
which is pleasing.
That's great.
Okay.
Well, great job. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Okay, Scott? Follow that one.
Yeah, it's tough to do. First of all, apologies about some of the confusion around the books. Packets that we distributed, so.
You're good.
things worked out.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you're good.
All right. I'll start by reading the cash balances for May 31st, 2023. The operating fund had $282,043.61. The operating municipal account had $4,230.77. Improvement fund had $1,145,696.47. Vehicle replacement fund had $244,464.04. Equipment replacement fund had $850,754, and the grant fund had no balance, for a total in that Horizon bank account of $2,527,188.89. The Indian Springs and Whippoorwill projects remained unchanged. I didn't make the deposit for the cash collections for May, and they run basically what you see there. So next month it'll probably be zero because we'll cut the check to pay the 3 months, so it'll be back to zero. So it's the same. The total at that bank account was $5,059.53. The SRF debt reserve had $514,916.56. The SRF bond and interest at $172,993.19, for a total at BNY Mellon of $687,909.75. The Stormwater Fund had $528,566.54. The Refuse Municipal Account had $1,548.92. The Refuse Fund had $646,530.75. Special Revenue Account had $4,928.90. That was unchanged from last month. We didn't collect any pickup charges this month. The levy excess had $8,522.14. The tax levy grant fund had $4,374.78, and the rainy day fund had no balance. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. For a total at Horizon of $1,194,472.03. So the subtotal before the Carlick remediation account was $4,414,630.20. The Carlick remediation fund had $218,688.75 for total cash balances of $4,633,318.95. Just a couple notes on this. The improvement fund, as you see there, on the third line, roughly 450 of that is going to be used for the cleaning of the digester. That was the quotes that you guys opened last month.
Yeah.
And then the equipment replacement, we may use that for some of the grant matches. Now we got most of the equipment. I'm sorry, not on the operating fund. So anyways, the big thing is the $450,000 for the digester. And then if you go down to the right beneath the stormwater municipal debt and refuse account, again, we got funded by the both the Riverboat Fund and the ARPA funds to buy some new garbage trucks. So they're paying for the garbage trucks. But that rainy day fund, I would like to attempt to use that to start putting some money in there to replace the trucks, because I heard a lot from the council about not having a fund to replace the trucks. Now, we shouldn't have to for a few years, but anyways, I would like to, when we do the budgets for next year, I'm gonna put something in there to move it to that rainy day fund.
Which fund are you gonna transfer or reduce to increase that fund?
Refuse. And we did get, we have received our property taxes, and they were roughly what we were expecting. They were like 25,000 less, so.
Okay, so we have a few other things that we need to take a look at too for the rainy day fund. For instance, not only the garbage trucks, but we've got the totes that we ended up going into.
Right.
We've got a couple other things, and so I think that we shouldn't just use that fund for, trucks.
Mr. Meyer helped me draft
Okay.
a resolution for the next meeting.
Okay. The other item on there is, and I've talked about this too for a long time, is, what do we do if we get into a situation where we need to replace part of the plant?
Yeah, that one is a little easier.
Okay.
Because that's up above in the operating accounts.
Okay.
That's like in the top section, whereas refuse gets tricky because we only get so many property taxes.
Right.
That one we could someday in the future.
Okay.
We can always look at rates and things.
Okay.
I'm not saying doing it
Yeah,
now.
no, there's a
but-
couple different things that we've talked about before with that, and we've tabled it for right now.
Right.
But, looking at, I think all of the stuff that we're looking at, not only trucks, but totes and whatever that we need for the refuse, we should have that into the rainy day fund.
Right. Unfortunately, we've caught up now a little bit because of the ARPA
Yeah,
and the city's help with the riverboat fund.
yeah.
But you're right. Because originally that, fourth line down there, it's called SD Special Revenue.
Yeah.
Originally, that was used for special pickup fees, and those were meant to be used to buy toters. But, we don't collect that much. We did there for a while, but we haven't for a while.
Well, that goes into the other discussion that we're having.
Right.
So, and I don't think that that's fully thought out yet by you guys, right?
I don't think so.
So we need to have a little bit more discussion on that.
Yes.
Okay.
Where are we funding like repairs and maintenance of Strebel Pond and that kind of properties? Where does that come out?
That comes out of the stormwater fund. Unfortunately, we haven't spent a lot doing that.
Well, we just did the
gazebo repair.
gazebo.
Yeah,
But and that was,
relative.
because we had some of our guys do some of that work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we did a lot of ours, but you're right. I
But I
mean,
noticed there's a lot of rails missing when I just came by there. I know those plastic rails last about a year and a half.
well, we moved them to the other side and then moved back. No.
I'll let you know next time I go by and you can
They
move them
just-
over there and fill
yeah,
the gaps in.
They just have your schedule
Yeah.
drive, and they
See,
move them.
yeah, we thought we know when you come by. And, so
Okay.
no, but yeah, it is. The other thing there, most of the stormwater budget is to cover salaries of the collections department. So they reimburse the collections, the operating fund. So that kind of helps a little bit too, because and we only do it twice a year. We do it in June and December. So anyway, but it's a good point. I mean, it's not gonna forever.
Right. Those things are dying fast on the
Yes.
rails with the age of the PVC out in the sun. So yeah, that's going to be a cost. Either we take the fence out altogether along the roadside and keep the fence along the trail done. So
Okay. Any other questions on the cash?
No, we'll definitely look at your recommendations as
Yeah.
far as,
Yeah, I'll bring it to you.
Mr. Meyer, and when budgeting time comes around.
Is there any legal if we take that fence out? Because, I know it's not gonna keep
Right,
things
yeah,
out,
it's-
but it's at
it's-
least a fence that's up there. You
It's
know what I mean? I mean, is
I've
there,
never seen it, so I don't
It's an
know.
aesthetic thing, and certainly not a
Alright.
protective thing. So
well, I know that, but I mean,
Yeah.
at least we can say there's a fence up there. That's all I'm asking.
Whether we take it out or not, remove it, because it's really not gonna stop any car or anything
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
running through there.
Yeah, so purely aesthetic, so
Yeah.
there's no issue.
all right.
It would help us a great deal if we could.
Well, let's put that on and think about it. I mean, I should sign you with that committee.
yeah, go ahead, sign a committee. It should happen right away. But yeah, I would answer within a decade or two.
Debate with himself.
Blue ribbon.
All right.
All right, the next three things, I put, the budget performance reports for the operating fund, the refuse fund, and the stormwater fund. And like I just said, this thing will be a little more exciting come June next month. But we're tracking pretty much, right along where we should be at this point of the year. So that's about it on that. The next thing, I had this in there, I've actually loaded the budgets into the system for the refuse fund and stormwater fund, but the city controller is meeting with the mayor next week, so I thought it would be better for them. They're gonna review everyone's budgets by department, so I just felt that it'd be better for them to look at it and provide me with some comments before I give it to you guys. There's not really much change year on year, but I just thought it was better for them to get a chance to review it. And then anybody here is invited if you want to go to our meeting with the mayor and the controller.
Okay.
And I'll let you know the date. They think it's going to be next week sometime.
Holt,
See,
if you can, that'd be great.
I'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah,
And I'll let you know.
I'll try.
thank you.
I'll try.
All right.
And that's really, I think that's pretty much all I had.
Okay.
Any other questions? I know there was one more thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
When are we gonna start our process with, since they were on Dan's report, GIS for insurance?
Oh, we reviewed that already. It's an annual thing.
No, I know, but just, I saw it, so I mean, are we gonna get a chance to, is he gonna bring us stuff like, say, October, November?
Oh, for next year? Nah. I would, if he can get it to us by January, that's probably
Okay, when do we usually renew it?
the end of March.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, see if you can get it for the January meeting.
Yeah.
I know.
That's what I tried to do this year.
Yeah, it's half the year already, and it comes fast, so I just wanna see what
And
Charlie's
that's
got.
really what hit the cash balance. It's quite a bit. The operating fund, that's why you saw that dip to the prior month. And to the prior year, the dip was the costs associated with the Long Beach project.
Yep,
So year on year, that's kind of what we spent over that 12 months.
okay. All right, okay,
Anything else? Okay, so thank you very much.
thank you. Steve and Mike, update on projects?
Michael, let Mr. Gorski go first.
Oh, John, come on up, man.
Well, I'm gonna just stay back here, so, but,
Okay,
John Gorski, construction engineer for, Sanitary District. And a couple of weeks ago, in celebration of, well, first of all, down below you somewhere,
Yep.
my spiel of what I'm gonna say and newspaper article.
yeah, that was great.
Some great coverage. But in celebration of the Coastal Awareness Month, the Sanitary District sponsored as part of our community outreach, free educational cruises aboard the W.G. Jackson research vessel on June 20th, 21st, and 22nd. We had 3 tours available each day. It lasted about an hour and included sampling of the testing of district water in a lake bed utilizing the equipment on board. The crew of the captain, deckhand, 2 onboard scientists did an excellent job in relating to the enthusiastic group of interested residents and school children, including in attendance for employees from Indiana Dunes National Park, Valparaiso University, district employees, various city officials, and city and non-city residents. Overall, the 9 tours were very well attended. The capacity of the vessel was 30 occupants. We reached capacity one time with an average of of 28 for each tour. Radio, newspaper, and social media all played an important part in advertising the interest in attendance. Many, if not all, participants really enjoyed the cruises and verbally expressed themselves with high praises for the experience. We had 41 likes and 6 loves on Facebook. I would like to thank the board members for giving us the district opportunity for this community outreach. And lastly, I would like to thank Karen, our frontline person, for tirelessly answering the phones to take names, phone numbers, and reservations for the 249.
Thank you. Man. Great program.
It was, and it really is, and it's gotten better and better every year, so thanks for letting us have the opportunity.
Just for the record, public input and public education is a requirement of your NPDES stormwater permit.
Yeah.
So this is not just a PR measure, this is a fulfillment of a requirement under the NPDES permit.
MS4.
MS4 permit.
This is part of the reason Valpo was here and the national
Yes.
parks.
Yeah, because they
They need their 12 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were blessed with very good weather, as it turned out.
That's great. Well, thank you all who organized it and helped, so thank you.
All right.
Okay.
My first item is the splatter pad. I think everybody knows that that's up and running now. I wrote a little progress report here so you can just kind of see what the effort was that went into it. And later on, some of the R&D and testing. And the outcome of a long-term test that we ran with a plug in the drain using the vac trucks to put it in the sanitary sewer. We got 12 tests that all met the permit requirements. So after we were good to go, we went live on July 1st.
Okay, great.
A lot of good work.
Yeah, it really is.
Thank you.
Getting to the conclusion and getting that.
So the first handful of pages from the permit is here. It's a 5-year permit, effective July 1, 2023, all the way to June 30th, 2028. That's typical for IDEM to issue 5-year terms on permits. I'd like to mention that Pat Bull's maintenance department for the parks department has done quite a lot of the heavy lifting on the taking the meter readings and adding the tablets and counting them for me. And I've been tracking all of that for the NFT's permit reporting.
Okay.
Pat's been fantastic to work with.
Well, that's great. It's nice that that's back up operating.
Mm-hmm. I stopped by there to collect the first sample for oil and grease and TSS and TRC about 1:30, and there was 50 kids in there.
That's great.
Very well attended.
That's great. Very good to hear. Yep.
Good day for it.
Okay, I think on this 6-acre donation parcel, I think we're coming close to closing this thing up. You got the new phase 1 there. That's pretty much informational. That if we wanted to take possession, this thing will be good all the way up to October 2nd. And then I'd like to call your attention to the there's phase 2 environmental, there's an extra, phase 2 environmental. But I'd like you guys, if you can, to skip all the way to figure 4. This is for the actuals. The way that this got published, you guys are probably not going to be able to read this, so I made myself a bigger version so I could read it. This
Tim probably can't read it, I'm all right.
This HA2,
My phone.
the top foot of soil had arsenic at 426 milligrams per kilogram. The next foot had 170 milligrams per kilogram of arsenic. And then 2 to 2.5 was 51. In the middle interval from 1 to 2, the lead was all the way up to 2,000. And then this HA4 directly across to the hypotenuse. The arsenic was 48.9 and the lead was 3,910. I've got a couple of concerns come to mind on this. One is that for short-term exposure, lead's got an IDEM criteria of 1,000.
Yeah.
And we're all the way up to 2,000 and 3,910.
Yeah.
What goes along with that is if you've got 4,000 parts per million total of lead, a fair chance that if we wanted to get rid of some of it might TCLP positive and be hazardous.
Yep.
Same with the arsenic for that matter.
And what's the depth?
This I'm talking about this ground surface down to 2.
Down to 2? Okay.
And here's the other thing.
And what is the arsenic federal levels or state levels on?
Arsenic short term is for a commercial property it's 30 milligrams per kilogram. And short term excavation is 900. So we don't blow that one, but we do blow the lead short term excavation limit in the risk closure tables. The bigger piece to the across the tracks looks pretty decent. It's this smaller triangle that's north of the tracks. Okay. I'm somewhat concerned that if we take over this north triangle in particular, I would be recommending to us that we put a fence around it right away. And I'm not quite sure that's in our interest to take that on just so we can put a fence around it.
Oh, and then we incur the liability.
Yeah, going forward.
Yes.
But not just because it's there. If we did something to exacerbate the problem, we'd start incurring liability. But that's,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My recommendation is that I talk to the donor and see if they might be interested in just giving us the lower part of it.
Seems quite reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. What are your thoughts, Tim?
My bet would be they're looking for somebody to take it all.
That's
Because of this.
what I'm thinking, yeah.
It's like, I
But I
don't
mean-
want to give a good and still keep the bad kind of
yeah.
thing.
Their rationales, I don't want to keep paying taxes on it.
Do we have any, are we certain, so to speak, that below 2 feet, it's okay?
No. It's so bad on the surface, I'm telling you, that's a problem by itself.
Right, but the question could come up as to what the cost of remediation would be, which would in this case be what they call hog and haul. Dig it out and haul it someplace to a
Either that or
Class C landfill and,
pave it over and make it a parking
Can we,
lot.
yeah.
can we just, for the landowner's sake, just kind of ask him first before we continue this discussion? And just see what the landowner wants to do?
Yeah.
And then we can kind of talk more in depth, Jim, about what you're talking about. But I just, I don't want to do that at this meeting.
I've got a little bit of an update on the filter building control system, and Mike, jump in on this if you want to add anything with this June 20th email from Jason Paxson. is that they're scheduling with the next phase for the week of July 17th. It'll be demolition phase. Move operations from the HMI, and Richard will be demolishing old PLCs and door items. Installing new cell mode, other things here.
Right, if I may interject that so far everything's been going smoothly as far as working with the contractor, Shambaugh and Son, and doing it as they're doing it now with the phased approach. So,
Yeah, it's keeping us in business, right?
absolutely, putting out that very clear water.
John, you got anything you want to add about the 421 sewer? Is there anything to update on that?
No, there's really no update other than what's in my monthly report, but since the monthly report, on the 15th, I think I sent it in, really nothing's going on. We're just waiting for, they're waiting for AT&T relocates. Nothing. If you ever drive near that intersection, the Love's truck stop has been doing a lot of stuff, but we're not involved in that way, so.
They are going to install a piece of sewer that eventually, I understand, we will come to own.
Correct, yes,
So we'll want to keep an eye on that aspect of it.
yes.
Okay. Next thing is a lab accreditation. We got that wrapped up. We got a new certificate for the lab that's good through March 31st, 2025. Sue Lehman did a lot of hard work on that. She's a commendable effort on her part to keep that going. Wis Cheney is on board. They're fully under contract for the assessment of the laboratory structure. And speaking with Tim Crow most recently, he would like to be doing his on-site inspection in July. And I need to get in touch with some masonry contractors to get a little bit of the fascia removed and get us either scaffolding or a lift so that the engineer can get up there and take a good look at it from the outside. So that's going to continue in July. All right.
Jim, if I could just,
Go ahead, please.
with regards to the structure and the issues with the structure, it was good to see that on the maintenance report of Kevin, that it showed that there is being 2 times a week inspections by the maintenance department, as we requested, and I guess record being, I'm sure, kept of it, but it was good to see that in maintenance report that is being done. So it made me feel, and I'm sure all of us feel a little bit better. So good job, and kudos to you guys for coming to make sure that we're checking it.
All right. On the digester cleaning, I don't see that I got anything in here.
How about the
Paper.
Michigan Boulevard and Carroll?
Oh, let's see. Let's not jump over that one. I'm reading these out of order. Okay, that's what it is. Yeah, Ryan Laughlin from Haas sent out an email on June 12th with an update on a revised design. Apparently he's going to allow gravity flow for the customers. Work with this owner at these owners at 116 and 118 Carroll with septic systems. And then keep the whole system gravity. The geotechnical assessment scheduled to begin on July 10th. And we'll know more after that. Okay, digester cleaning. is underway. It's not without certain interesting aspects. Mike, if you care to add on that.
All right, we had some water coming in as the cleaning was taking place, that we've identified the source and eliminated that. And so we've been recycling some of the material from the digester back to the head of the plant through our primary settling clarifiers to keep a handle on the cost, because we're charged by the gallon for what's removed. So,
It's probably why they're running 8 trucks a day.
right. Well, they want to finish up by this week. Maybe even today that they finished. I didn't get a chance to check with Kevin.
That'd be primary number 2 this week.
That's correct. And then there'll be a lapse of time to allow us to stabilize the digestion process and seed number 2, and then have them begin. On number 1 digester is, I believe, about 25% larger than number 2.
We're gonna seed number 2 from number 1, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Very good. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
The next item is a Lincoln Avenue crumbling sewer replacement for a pretty large amount of money. We got one bid, as everybody knows, from Woodruff and Sons for $765,767 and of course 88 cents. My recommendation to the board is that we authorize these people to proceed.
We'll get the contract drafted.
I will draft one and
Okay, you don't want to authorize them to proceed until we have the contract that's signed.
well, authorize the award, I guess is what I'm asking for tonight.
Okay.
And then I can write the contract.
Yes.
Any questions?
I'm sorry, are
Go-
we gonna use the improvement fund to pay for this? Cameron?
Yes.
Okay. Because between that and the digester, that's gonna pretty much wipe out the 1.1. Just for the board to know. Because it's $450 for one and $760 for the other. So. Just so you're aware.
Nice job building that fund so we can.
Yeah,
Well, I guess we'll start tomorrow.
that's okay. At least that's what it's there for.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why you
So-
set it up.
Well, that's kinda, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because, like I said before, I've heard a lot about deed reserves from certain members of other areas.
Yeah, well, appreciate the pre-planning on something like this and putting it into the budget line item so we can use it when these things come up, so. And also, I mean, that's important with the rainy day fund too, what we're starting to do. So, I think our books are all in order and you've done a great job, so I appreciate it.
I believe everybody recalls that Community Crossings is paving on the west side of town right now. And this is one of the streets that's on the list.
Yeah,
If I may just interject, that this is why we have amounts of money set aside, because it goes very quickly, because it goes in big chunks, because there was conversation about the sanitary district having a lot of money. That's why we have the money, because we have to have some when we need it.
exactly. I mean, if you get a sewer that collapses, you guys have to be aware to be able to do that right away. Which some people don't understand, unfortunately.
Yes,
So hopefully they'll get an education on it.
yes, sir.
And certainly we benefit greatly by those of you who've been here,
Yeah.
5 years or 10 or 20 or 30 or however many years.
Yeah.
To be able to explain in very straightforward terms
Yes.
why it is that we did this many, many,
Yeah.
many years ago and continue to need it.
Right, that was one of the first things the board did after, in 2012.
Yeah.
My request is to have approval to award this to Woodruff and Sons. Do we need a?
They should vote.
All right, so I'll ask the board to approve the contract award of $65,767.88 to Woodruff and Sons for the Lincoln Avenue sewer replacement project.
So moved.
Hold
Just
on
one second, for a second, no, that's fine. Scott, the 765, 767, 88, and could you add that other total and just give us a quick total so we know that we have a proper amount of money in there to cover it? It sounds like we're very close, but what was that other number?
It was, I believe, 450,000 for the digester building, and that, I'll look it up and I'll have a number for you in about 3 minutes.
So 450 plus 765.
We're gonna be over a little bit.
Well, these projects will continue
As
for more
long as
than
you're
a
gonna
week.
say, it's a long time.
And you'll be making
Good.
transfers into the
Yeah.
fund.
Yeah,
So putting 25,000 in there.
That's what I was just gonna ask, do we need the money
Yeah,
before we
just-
start the whole thing, or can we?
Right. No, you don't, you just,
Okay.
good.
no, it's the general fund.
Yeah.
And it-
By the end of the year.
Okay.
It's still nice to know that, it's still nice to know that we're spending money that we are going to have, as opposed to spending all of it and then additional things happen that, put us underneath things. So,
Yeah.
thank you for the reminder that we don't need all.
Yeah, you can transfer them under line items.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll have additional transfers along the way to continue to build that fund up, so that's good. I'll second that motion. No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, Steve. So Steve, just going forward, you'll create the contract. Does it come back to us for approval then? Okay, so we're actually looking at another month to hold before any action on this. So we'll have an additional 25,000 sitting there too, correct?
You can resolve to award the contract now.
Yeah,
Yeah, they just did.
we just did, we just voted.
So now
It's
gets
to award it, but I mean, then
Then you have to,
to authorize the contracting process.
yeah, we just authorized the contracting process.
Is there something that would be classified as close to an emergency to get this project started? That would be,
That's holding up, I didn't mean to interrupt, but CCMG is well underway. That's a grant project,
right,
and they're up against the door to when their time for to be done, the number of days, the calendar days that they have available to do the job.
And that's sort of
So
crumbling.
it's almost, you're not there, yes, but you're almost at the point where each day you delay, they're gonna get another day to add on to the job.
Well, tell them to drag their feet on Lincoln.
We already have.
yeah,
It's already pushed it to the end, is all I'm kind of getting at. And,
Well,
but it is a grant project, and I,
All right, so I guess my,
in the past, the board on occasion has authorized to move ahead with the contract, something signed by the general manager if it's been approved, reviewed and approved by the engineer and me and the attorney.
yeah,
So,
so,
I'll revise my motion.
Yeah, I think-
That
yeah,
the sooner that Jim can review it, then get him going, and
yeah.
we can do the final signatures later if needed.
Holt, are
And
you
I
okay
will
with
second
that?
that motion as well.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Move on, move on.
Yeah, let's just get it going.
yeah,
We don't need any,
What you need, Steve?
yeah,
right, I want to be
Okay.
putting it down and tearing it back up again.
exactly. So are you good with that?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
Right, Current Nature Park, I just want everybody to know that we've been keeping the new trees watered as necessary when it's not having enough rain. We've been taking care of the invasive species, and this project is in really good shape. And I know I keep putting this off, but I think by next month I can get the certs put together so that we can actually close this thing out.
Great.
I can't wait to see the flowers, you know.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. I mean,
I haven't been out there in almost a month, so there might be nice flowers already.
Well, especially with this rain the last week,
Mm-hmm.
so.
And I'm sorry, Holt, I misspoke, Steve can correct me on this. That project's gonna be $312,907.
312,
907.
okay,
There you go, you got another 130,000 back.
don't go spend that.
Thank you, sir.
So we're in good shape then. All right,
Better.
yeah,
Unless something else comes.
yeah, yeah.
The next item is Adams Park again, and the only reason I have it on here is because it didn't get signed after the May meeting last time.
He must have come from farmer family or something.
Scott, you got the signature copy of this for after the meeting, right?
Hey,
Yes.
glasses
I believe that's the same.
Are you a farmer or something?
No, this is Adams Park.
God, there's not sun, but it's gonna rain today, isn't it? I know it.
Yes.
Sorry, guys.
So it's probably not gonna be.
Okay, half glass. That's his new name.
Yeah, half glass, no
Half
doubt.
glass. Sorry, Steve.
All right.
No, we're not talking about you. Yeah, John. All right, sorry,
All
Steve.
right, the next item is this 3642 Birchwood Trail Sewer Connection Authorization. We've got Resolution 4881 from the City Council approving the connection here. And I believe Mr. Meyer put together the sewer use
It's a very
agreement.
standard sewer use agreement
Okay.
for outside customers. They are not directly connecting to a sanitary district sewer, they're connecting to the, what originally installed by Strulowitz, you might remember. And that, as you may recall, was installed, they put in a sewer much bigger than what Strulowitz needed, 4 inches instead of 2, and basically, so that there could be additional connections. We've been informed that that sewer was transferred to ownership of the town of Michigan Shores. And so they've gotten all the appropriate approvals, et cetera. But the only thing we need to do is to have a sewer use agreement with them, which is what the document is that I put together and their attorney has reviewed and approved as well. And they've signed.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to request the board that this sewer use agreement be agreed to and signed tonight if we can.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the sewer use agreement with Eric Perrin and Patricia Perrin with the City of Michigan City? And it's located in LaPorte County at 3642 Birchwood Trail, Michiana Shores, Indiana. It's parcel 4601-12-422-01.
77.
Oh, 77-01-7-00-024. Thank you.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved.
The next item is this topic of 5 homes from Long Beach that want to connect, and what I've put in the packet here is Michigan City Common Council Resolution 4887, which is where the City Council agreed to allow these people to connect the sanitary sewer.
Okay. Not just reporting on it right now, right,
I'm
Steve?
just reporting on it.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is this priority stormwater drainage improvement projects. I want to call to the attention that in 2022, we bid out the first one, 2510 Wabash Street and 404 Golfie Road. And in each instance, Woodruff was the only bidder on that. Because I asked Woodruff if they would go ahead and honor the pricing that they gave us last year. And they said that because pipe things like that cost so much more now, you have to get more for the materials. So I would like to have permission from the board to rebid those.
Uh,
2510 Wabash and 404 Gulfview.
do we need a motion for that, or can we just approve? Can we just say yes?
You should have a motion, because there's already been a bid.
Yeah, okay.
That's just the first two.
Just the first two.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to explain that 413 Barker Road, Mr. Doyle passed away before that design could be completed. But I believe that some of the key people that worked for Mr. Doyle work for Tim Haas now, and I'd like to approach Tim Haas and get an estimate from him for design, the solution for 413 Barker Road.
All right, so let's take these individually, because we've got to do that. So let's deal with 2510 and 404 Gulf Road.
Motion to approve 2510 Wabash.
And 404, can we take them?
Sure.
And we'll take both of those together.
Together.
Yeah, so those,
And 404 Gulfview Road.
second,
I will second the rebid for those two parcels.
okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so go ahead and do the rebid, Steve. 413 Barker Road, Steve is suggesting that we let him approach Haas and Associates to, is it a redesign or continue the design, or?
Mr. Doyle was able to complete something close to an Alta survey for the limits of work. So that should be available for Tim Haas now to actually draw the pipe work and the inlets and that kind of stuff.
Okay, so we're approving, I'm asking for a motion for 413 Barker Road in vicinity for Steve to approach Haas and Associates to see if they have the proposal and materials to go ahead and forward with that design.
Move to request proposals for the final design of 413 Barker Road, stormwater drainage improvement.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Approved, so go ahead, Steve, with that.
Okay, 325 Maplewood Drive. John, do you recall getting a look at the utilities on the west side of Maplewood Drive there? After you guys white lined it?
Yeah, that they have been located, as far as.
I know the east side of the road is really crowded with utilities, but is the west side a little better?
Is East Side Joe's.
Yeah.
West side, there is service lines going across the road to the house.
Okay.
That's area 345 Maplewood.
I guess what I'm getting at with this one is that we're wanting to engineer it and construct this in-house. Just informational.
Great, okay. Thank you.
Right, the next item is P, 9P. This was the topic that was sort of, I guess, christened by Don or Paul Presbolinski in connection with these shared cost lateral projects. The first piece I've given you here is the summary of projects that would be eligible for reimbursement under this proposed ordinance, which is the next item to look at. It would appear that there's up to $56,897 in customer shares that could be reimbursed to either paid directly to us because the customer hasn't paid, or reimbursed to a customer who's actually already paid for the work.
So,
With casino fund, or not
Yeah.
with district funds.
I guess my question is this the fund, because I never saw, other than just sharing with it, is it first in till we run out of money?
Well, we'll take a look at the ordinance
The
here.
proposal from the ordinance is
It does say that.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
That's 250,000, and it would be first, obviously,
So then we just run it up to the funds out, and
Until it's
then
gone.
the city council can go ahead and approve more if they want.
right, well, the mayor has to ask for it, for an additional appropriation, and then the city council would have to approve that appropriation. But it would not, there would be no payments if that money runs out.
Right, right.
Correct.
So really, we have proposed right now 56,897,000 in share. And we've paid to date so far, the customer's share paid to date is $27,112.64.
Right, so roughly, half of the customer share would come directly to us because the customers have only paid their half of their share so far.
All right.
A lot of these customers are on payment plans.
Okay, so, okay, that's one of my questions when I read the ordinance as well. There's nothing in there that, what if the district gets stuck with this?
I think we'd issue a lead.
Pardon me?
We'd issue a lead.
If the customer doesn't pay us back for we have financing agreements with these customers,
Okay,
and if they don't honor them, we'll lien their properties.
okay.
Just we need more house.
I just want to make sure that, exactly.
We're attempting to consider it on our monthly bills.
We can't take your offense at the,
Next item is just that this proposed ordinance, the city council's been working on to set aside this $250,000 a year to pay customer shares on these jobs. Do you have any update on the status of this? Has this been approved yet? Do you know?
No,
It has not.
no.
So, okay, wait a second here. Am I missing something that we've got already bills out here for $56,897? And we don't have an ordinance?
Right. Right now, the district handles everything in-house, period,
Okay,
on these projects.
okay,
And you have a resolution that was passed a long time
Yeah.
ago that we pay 50% of the cost of work done within a right-of-way
I remember the
easement.
50%, yeah.
Right, and the way things work out is, as you probably can guess, is there are times when the contractor gets finished and the homeowner doesn't have enough money to pay their 50% share.
Okay,
So then, as I understand it, the district enters into payment agreements with those customers to make monthly payments.
Exactly.
And then the contractor gets paid, so we don't get stuck with mechanics liens and fights
Right.
about that.
Mhm.
And, the ordinance, which may or may not get adopted and, funded, but anyway, says, okay, in reference to the part the district doesn't cover, the city would cover. And they wanted to know how much money, if they made it retroactive to, and I don't remember the date.
It was August 29, 2019.
I don't know what you think that date, but whatever, how much it would, of that 250,000 would go to the, let's call it the, past
okay,
stuff, which was a total of 56,000 some odd dollars.
okay.
The ordinance is supposed to include, or does include, or did include anyway, I don't know if there's any amendments, $250,000 proposal. There has not been a request from the mayor, to my understanding. Of course, they probably wouldn't do that until after the ordinance was passed anyway. But if the mayor doesn't ask for that 250,000, they can't appropriate it. So, right now, these are all just informational items, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. In the meantime, we implement, they're the district.
Well, we
implement-
our
our
regular policy.
Yeah, the
Which is current. Okay, I get it. Okay, all right. And that goes through their bill too, Scott, right?
Yes,
Okay.
I thought you were gonna send it to the house.
I was getting close.
Don't see that beard.
Yeah.
We could, chair, we could see.
Santa Claus is here.
that's our second step, Jack,
All right,
collection.
okay. Thank you for the clarification on that, Jim.
Sure.
For this next item, I'd like to call Josh up here because Josh did so much of the groundwork on this again in terms of the vehicle and equipment replacement. But I think like to call your attention to the third page of this memorandum from Josh here. And have a look at. That's lower whale right now.
Yeah, looks like just needed the body work.
It'll buff out.
Yeah. Just a little wax and Bondo,
Josh,
trainers, and it should be good.
This vehicle has what? Was it like 18,000 hours on it?
I believe it was like 10, it's over 10,000, between 10 to 11,000 hours. And then, we had an estimate for the needed repairs. They came to a total cost of $59,942.95. And currently, we're not using it because of the pivot pins that hold the two halves of the machine together. The upper one is in terrible shape, and that would require separating the machine, line boring, re-sleeving that, and putting new pins in addition to other items. We had a mechanic from West Side Tractors come and take a look at it to make sure, was it worth putting the money into? And once we got a total of the estimate of all the repairs, we decided to look at a replacement for this machine.
So not only does it articulate left to right, it's up and down too.
Yeah,
that's nice.
That's
Bumpy rock.
Absolutely. Yeah. That makes the all-terrain capability better.
So in order to go with a new machine, I've contacted through John Deere, Caterpillar, and Case. Your wait time, you're looking at approximately 9 to 11 months. Most of the salesmen have said you're looking probably a year out to receive a new machine. So we were asking them for quotes on any used machines that they get. And McCann Industries of Mishawaka, they're a Case dealer. They had one that was available that had 97 hours on it. It's a 2022 machine, and they gave us a quote on the price of that and trade-in value of our machine. And then that used machine would also include a payload scale, so we can keep track of our biosolids when we haul those to the farm. And with our trade-in and also including a set of construction forks, there's times where we could utilize that in different projects in the plant and up front here in collections. The total would be $171,000 to purchase this machine. It's a used machine, so it's subject of prior sale to someone else who wanted to buy it before we got approval to purchase it. South Bend just got a machine in on Friday. They called me about. We went and looked at it. That machine had 29 hours on it. It says 19 hours here, but it currently has 29 hours. And he didn't have the quote quite done yet because he was waiting to hear back from Load Right that had a scale to that, and then also the forks to that. But just for that machine, without the scale and the forks, would be $184,800. And his trade-in value on our loader was $16,000, and Case was going to offer $18,000 trade-in on our current machine. So we thought that the machine with the best option and value would be to go with the one through McCann Industries.
You have a lot of hours on that one compared to the other.
The Case machine had 97 hours, and then the John Deere had 29 hours. The Case machine, they said it's usually the large contractors buy those up for snow removal in the wintertime. And then, once the season's over, they'll buy those machines back and they'll get new. They have big orders they put in, so they'll get new machines for the next season. But they like to have equipment new, ready to go on hand for, the season with snow removal and have machines there.
So how long have we had our front end loader? And
it's a 2008 machine, so I believe we bought that in 2008. The new machine, if we purchase one through McCann, it'll have the same 3-yard bucket. It'll have a quick detach, so we can drop the bucket and grab the construction forks. Or down the road, if need be, the refuse department, they use the 4-in-1 bucket quite a bit if
we needed to purchase a 4-in-1 bucket on that machine at the refuse department. We didn't do that.
You're talking about
that would be equipped, ready to go with that.
Okay, you're talking about the 2022.
The 2022 case, correct? Because our current machine is just a bucket with, it's a mounted fixed to it. You can't remove it.
Which is much better for you guys
Yeah.
to be able to do that.
Hey, Josh, just two things. If you had a percentage breakdown of how much refuse you could have used it, how much operations you could have used it,
Yeah, I think
80% collections.
at least, yeah. The refuse only needs, if their machine happens to be down for some reason, then they would borrow our machine. And currently the street department, refuse department, they're operating case payloaders as well. So maintenance department's familiar with repairs and, would have parts available in stock as far as for maintenance needs, filters and whatnot.
Because the numbers I read earlier, the equipment replacement fund currently has $850,000. Just for the, and we haven't mentioned that yet.
Are we looking at anything else in the replacement fund right now?
I can't think of anything on the equipment because of the ARPA and the riverboat funds.
Okay.
I'm trying to think
Those would have been paid
on
out.
operations.
This gets paid out of the storm, or the general fund, the operating fund.
Yeah. Okay.
User fees, not the tax base. Josh, I noticed there's McAllister information in here about a warranty. Is there any warranty with McCann?
Yeah, with McCann, it would be the remainder of the warranty, the ProCare that they offer on that machine.
How long is that,
I would think they said 3 years, 3,000 hours, so we would be more of, I would imagine, the time frame more so than the hours on it. I know we would put that kind of hours on it, that amount of time.
Yeah.
And we get the, included in this quote is the forklift and also the.
Yeah, there's a line item there where it does include the load right scale with printer and utility construction forks with 60-inch tines.
Yep. Okay.
That's how we weigh the biosolids that we sell to the farmer.
Yeah, see that.
So yeah, when we're loading the trucks, we can keep a running total. For the end of the day, we know how much we hauled out of that.
Any questions or discussion, guys? I would ask for,
Just from a legal perspective,
yeah,
this is what's called a special purchase.
okay,
Because we're not, doing a formal bid,
Yeah.
we can do the quote, but it's over 150,000. But we can do a special purchase on the basis that, number one, this piece of equipment is available right now as opposed to waiting a year, and ours is such a bad shape that we need to get something quick. And then number two, that the piece of equipment offered by McCann is, better than and the type that we need.
That's everything we need.
Right, and everything we need, we'll get to get a narrative put together. And in the next, you can vote to approve it at, to proceed with the purchase at this meeting, but next meeting we'll have a resolution. I'll just reiterate what I'm talking about for special purposes. One of the requirements for state board of accounts
okay,
is to have a special resolution for special purchases.
okay,
Nothing complicated.
okay. So, Josh,
We've done it before.
yeah, we've
It
done,
certainly sounds like it fits into that category as far as need.
Yeah, I agree.
but we can move forward with the purchase so we don't lose it to someone else.
Right, that's what we're asking for.
Yeah.
That way I can tell
So
the
let's go ahead and do that.
Let's do it.
So I'm gonna ask for a motion from the board to purchase the McCann 2022 case 621G XR90 XR that has 97 hours on it. I'm gonna do the final purchase price with trade-in.
Well, do the full price.
Do the full price, so-
And approve it, trading it in.
So, go ahead, Jim, sorry.
The The district's piece of equipment.
Yeah.
You need to authorize.
Okay, so for a full price of $189,000, with the trade-in value of the district's trade allowance is $18,000, for a net price for the purchase of this equipment at $171,000. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. So,
All right.
Josh, thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank you
Thanks for
very
all the
much.
legwork and everything on this. Appreciate it.
I'll go grab that thing tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't let anyone else buy it.
Right, no.
All right, the next item is refuse special pickup fees. Working closely with the mayor, we would like to start enforcing aspects of the refuse ordinance that have sort of not been enforced to any degree for the last few years. We've been doing unlimited pickup for, I think, since I've been here. Our ordinance, was it 14488?
98-142.
98-142 says all the rubbish needs to be in the toter.
That's the code section, that's not the ordinance number,
Oh, okay.
which is okay. The code is what binds.
Okay. But anyway, what we'd like to do is institute these fees for things like couches, mattresses, box springs, furniture, so that we can cover some.
Even construction debris, correct?
And construction debris. I have two estimate worksheets in your packet there. One of them is intended for small loads, like if somebody had 3 pieces of furniture. And then the one that's unit rate based, that's really intended for demolition construction debris. And I did work up an example in there for a full truckload, which come to a total of about $850.
Full truckload measuring what truck? A semi, a dump truck? What are we talking about?
I was thinking of one of our CNG dumps. Do you know how big the bodies are on those?
Page 16.
I want to say they're like close to 14 yards.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's identify that in here so we don't get caught.
Mm-hmm. It's specified by tonnage, actually, because
Okay.
we'd actually be truing up by the ton. from the
Perfect.
scale ticket.
Okay.
Steve, you mentioned 2 spreadsheets.
Yeah, I see one in here,
No,
Steve.
we have one.
Well, how does Tim have all of it?
They're stapling all together there, look.
Yeah, I think I might have goofed up on the board packet item. Oh, you seem to have it.
I do.
And Tim seems to have it. That's unlike you. That's what I got.
That's all I got.
That's all I have.
Any make coffee? Anyone need coffee?
I'll let you read
I can
this.
share it.
I'll hold it right here.
I can see some of it.
You have a proposal for the board, to which one to approve?
I suppose I'd like permission to issue the press release and then start implementing these fees in accordance pursuant to the code.
Which these are pursuant to the code.
Yes.
So this is principally at this point informational with the rolling out of August 1st.
I didn't want to roll that press release out without important people deciding what's time to put it out.
Right.
Just from an admin point of view, I just think it's gonna be a lot of maintain. You know, because we take a lot of these calls, as Karen can tell you. And, you know, all these different costs. I don't know. Because, I mean, it's gonna be a lot of work to maintain.
So I need to streamline it a bit.
Well, I don't know, I just.
So I guess, I guess, Scott, one question I have is we have other things that go with the monthly water bills. You know, are we gonna put this out on the monthly water bill?
We can try. I don't know if they'll align well. Like just today, I heard us taking calls of people putting trash outside, and we are telling them we'll be there in 2 weeks. And so I guess we have 2 weeks to figure out the invoice, but I don't know. Well, it'd be nice to automate it a little bit and put it in our current thought.
I was just not meaning the bill, I was meaning this information, because really the press release
Right.
has a lot of information. Yeah.
Who would be filling the time?
I envisioned it being either Connie or the refuse inspector. Or possibly Chris
That
Carter.
needs to be put into their job description, whoever's gonna be doing it. So that there's not any,
Because we're gonna have to use estimates.
and then somebody's gonna have to educate them on how to do it and when to do it.
Five or six meetings ago, I brought up that we needed to give this attention, and I was really very glad that we have started to give it attention.
You could just in the back in an hour.
It seems like it's an excellent start
And you'd have
to what could work,
But I would imagine.
but I'm not sure, with the input that Scott's given, and look on a few of your eyebrows, that it's quite ready to maybe implement in its current source. I mean, it looks good, but I'm just not sure that are we ready to be able to, there's training involved, obviously, which you just talked about, and I'm sure there's going to be additional details that need to be worked out as far as billing.
Well, there's another piece to this, and that's tracking the actual pickups. Which we currently aren't really doing that. We're trying to go to their Excel spreadsheet. And we take calls, and it needs to be.
Because that's how they get charged when we get to the door.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it absolutely is a necessity. I mean, you can see that much of our community doesn't know what the codes are and what the, I know they have access, but we can do a little bit more on our part, I think, to be able to, we hired a enforcement, inspector. And it was great to see and hear, although on the bottom side, people seem to not be educated at all as to how things are working on our end. And it's obvious that there's some need for maybe some additional planning, additional training, and all this to happen before we implement a press release. If we're gonna do it just for information or whatever, but it seems like our billing is a question. Whether how we're gonna measure it, the training of, who's gonna be out there doing it? Are they all gonna be, how is it gonna work?
We took today, how many did we go pick up today?
Yeah.
Things like that.
And
Could all be part of.
And I know it is a very big problem. I mean, or a big challenge, let's say. Let's not call it a problem.
We try.
Glass is half full, it's a challenge.
We try, but trying to try.
Yeah, so I remember we received, there was like 179 calls or something, I don't know, I don't remember what the period was, but I mean, there was like, a few meetings ago, you handed out something that showed how many calls were coming in and how many, issues were pending and how many we were getting to, and, it was very challenging. And that's why, we had discussion then to start to work on it. I'm really pleased to see that, we have introduced at least a move in the right direction, and I understand, the mayor's involved, and that's excellent, because that usually, carries much more weight than a board member or two or three. And so I'm pleased. I don't know that we are absolutely ready for the press release yet. You guys have, to implement this, I know we have till August to get things in order.
Well, I mean, I think there's some questions we have on here, just like Tim just mentioned, in the construction demolition debris, non-contractor, 2 pieces. What does 2 pieces consist of? And, how we usually dump it and get rid of it is by yard. So, I mean,
a door and a toilet. Would be 2
That was an
pieces.
example, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, I guess, yeah. So, yeah, I'm not certain whether we have all of our questions asked on this yet, Steve.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, and all the systems in place.
Yeah, and all the systems and the billing and stuff. We just asked a couple questions there. How are we going to get it billed? And we certainly don't want people dumping trash all over Michigan City because they're not getting it picked up.
$55 to get rid of something.
So
One final point on this is the city has run into a similar problem with like the lawns, cutting the lawns.
yeah,
They've been issuing lien after lien after lien, and it's out of control. And I could see this kind of headed to.
yeah. So I guess what I'm wondering is, do we take this in chunks, right? Do we take it in okay? So you have, like we talked about in the pictures that you provided for us, Steve, in the discussion last month on, is there a certain amount of debris that's on the side of the street? I don't know if we can measure it by that, but I mean, if someone puts out, clearly a white good, you've got the prices on here. So, I mean, we certainly don't want white goods dumped all over our community. So I guess, we can try that and see where it goes.
Michael says white goods don't last very long at the curb.
Yeah.
Scrappers.
So I think that's, which is good, but I'm looking at, we've always taken mattresses and some of that stuff. We don't want mattresses and box springs dumped all over. So I guess, I'm kind of looking at some of this stuff and saying, do we start with the big remodeling projects and say, okay, if you fit everything into a certain size at the curb or something like that, I don't know. I mean, what do other communities do like this?
Well, I know some communities or smaller towns actually have like a community dumpster or 2 or 3, to actually, for people that do have, a truck or access to it, instead of putting it on the, side, they actually take it to a dumpster. And it's not really well advertised that those exist because they become, quite an expense, to keep them flowing in and flowing out. But we do have codes and we do have ordinances, and now we have a process, or the start of a process to try to enforce it. And one of the questions that I have is that once our inspector issues a citation, should people be given 24 hours or 48 hours or something to get it off the street once they are educated as to not being able, or it's just not right or wrong. Otherwise, people are probably going to request additional toters.
Yeah.
Okay, and are those just given freely, or are those? I mean, if somebody calls and says, "Okay, I got a citation," well, I'm going to have, I have a garage sale every year, and I have, I'm redoing my basement, and although it's construction stuff, I'm getting rid of, furniture that's not going to fit now, or it's older, or whatever. And what is the ordinance? What is the code?
Yeah.
When an inspector comes and, issues a $100 citation, should we reasonably be giving them, 24 hours or 48 hours and then re-inspecting to make sure that it's taken care of?
The mayor has said as much.
That is in place.
Well, now currently we're giving people 2 weeks. They call and we say we'll be there in 2 weeks.
But that's different than,
No,
than
that's
the identification
Right.
of
Yeah.
inappropriate or violations of our codes or ordinances
Yeah.
that exist right now.
Yeah.
And certainly there's an opportunity to help as far as expenses, but the job itself and the information that needs to be given to our community to make sure that they know that after your garage sale, if you don't take it to Goodwill, you can't just lay it out on the street and make a call.
We do have 5 locations at various apartment buildings that our waste management picks up for us. And
Metal goods or
all goods.
Trash.
Trash, just like a lot of business. And on 3 of them, they can't get it in the trash bin. So the guy has to get out of the truck and we get surcharges. So it's just something to keep in mind as we move forward.
Yeah, the community dumpsters overflow.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I believe people come from elsewhere.
Sure.
Yeah, out in the county, another county altogether.
Well, I've heard many, many stories of people, going behind the church and dumping it in their dumpster. Or going behind a school and dumping it in their dumpster.
Those rotten people.
I mean, or going, behind a business that doesn't have cameras and dumping it in their
Dropping
dumpsters.
Hitchcock.
So, I mean, to find a solution here I think it's essential. And I again applaud the mayor.
Yeah, I mean, I
mean, up until relatively recently, several years ago, the district charged people for making special pickups with a flat fee. I think it was $35 plus the cost of disposal, which was based on, as Steve mentioned, tonnage.
Where did that go?
We're still getting
I can't speak.
35, but no one's collecting the tonnage.
The one issue with the tonnage is they do multiple pickups on one truck. So, I mean, if you're just doing one large pickup, and you can run it across the scale and bill that homeowner.
Yeah.
But if you're doing several small pickups, then you would divide the cost up.
Yeah,
I don't know how they
well,
did it,
for that
but they
one,
did.
that's why it's at like $25 for a couch, Josh.
That's right, that's why they broke this out.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a great discussion, and we need to figure out a way to do it. Dan, you had a comment?
Yeah, build on what Mr. Editor was saying, that need to have a process here, work out things internally. And I suggest, like in this table right here, we've got someone like Josh, maybe another person from refuse department, definitely Scott, and a couple other individuals to sit around this table to work out the kinks first. And then once we get the kinks worked out, and we've addressed what we think are the major issues that get resolved, then we go on with a communications blitz with the community.
Yeah.
We've nailed everything down as best we can, and then we go out with our communications package. And in that way, when the inspector shows up, theoretically, then these are the outliers, those that simply have not been communicated to and or refuse to comply.
Well, and that's what I'm concerned about, why I asked about the water bills. Can we put something into the water bills just like we do monthly
We can,
pickups?
but we'll have to do it manually.
Okay. I just,
We'll just have to enter it. But we
I just don't want one of our community citizens saying, well, I never saw that, I never got it. At least we can say, it was in your water bill, number one. We did a press release, because this is really a mouthful right now, this press release of how it reads. No disrespect to anyone, but there's just a lot of information in there. And, I don't know if we want to depend on public media to be able to either read the whole press release, because they're not going to, they're going to take things out of it. And so then.
Or not see it at all.
Yeah, and so I think we need to have a direct communication to our customers.
And perhaps if I may suggest that familiarize the residents with city code and what is actually on the books, because this is not a new concept.
That would be part of the communications, with the community. Once we get our internal kinks out of it, and how we want to actually run the program and manage the program.
Absolutely. Let me give you an example. of an actual case. People had a garage sale. They put some things very, very neatly out to the street and made a call to the district. And of course, pickers came through, picked it, trashed it, and it had been there several weeks. And
Maybe it rained on it.
no, and it was in the neighborhood of where it's very easy to, a lot of people travel by it, okay, and it was bad. And the inspector came through, gave a $100 citation, and within 2 hours, it was gone. The people called somebody, had them take it, and it was done. Because the inspector did a very respectful and very good job of trying to explain, what the process was and why, he was enforcing it that particular day. Even though it had already been out there 2 weeks, and the district had come on a previous special pickup, probably about 2 weeks prior, at that same address. So, a concern call came to me, and I just said, listen, maybe you should go down to the district, and someone did. And it was bad. It needed to be picked up, but immediately upon the inspector, it was taken care of. Now these people have a $100 citation that they just got from the controller's office or something saying that there's a court date. And that, if they don't pay this by the 24th or the 28th or something of the month, they're going to, get another $135 cost of court costs, which will probably be on top of the, $100, which is good motivation, absolutely. I mean, the process seems to be working. Okay, but when the people received the citation,
Right.
it doesn't appear that they were given 24 hours or 48 hours or the 2 weeks that was necessary, to do something with it. And if they were aware or knew that they were going to have, this violation, and when they were made aware, it was done. It was gone. It was cleaned. I mean, I actually drove by and saw it myself. So somewhere, some way, there needs to be process improvement. And what you say is and what we talked about 5-6 meetings ago was similar to this. That it needed attention. I looked at it from the standpoint then of focusing on the amount of money that we could probably generate if it could be accurate and consistent and managed properly. And I think that's right now, like all new things, they're hard, to, even if they do exist,
Right.
to get them communicated properly, to get the training done, to get the processes, to be able to bill, and then have people follow up.
Yeah.
And we did hire the inspector, and he did do the job, and the result was great. The people got rid of the stuff. What happened afterwards was the existing citation didn't come with a warning or anything. It came with a legal letter a week later saying that they now have to go to court, or there's a court date, or if they don't pay it by then. And when it was brought to their attention, they took care of it, and that seemed reasonable.
Yeah,
and now they're still caught with a $100 citation.
Well, the cornerstone in all this is what Scott mentioned, that's a good tracking system.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, this may be a communication problem in this specific case. Perhaps I can talk with you later.
Okay, I think that they exist, though beyond this specific case, because our challenges to pick up are great.
Yeah.
So that specific case, we certainly can do that. But the issue still remains that we are having trouble, and people are creating these calls, and we are not generating and following up on the possible revenue that we could maybe be generating from it. That was my initial concern, 4 or 5 meetings ago. Not necessarily to get into a specific case, but to use that case as an example for process need improvement. That's all.
You're gonna have to somehow meld the special pickup program of the district with the ordinance violation as a result from an inspector. So more than likely, you're gonna end up with a situation where the customers or resident is told that you have, you know, number one, it's an ordinance, so legally speaking, you have to do the ordinance. They're not supposed to send stuff.
Yeah, I know,
just on the
ignorance is
street.
no excuse, sure.
But the, you know, that the notice would include, you either call the district and make arrangements for them to come out. And if you don't do that within 2 days, 3 days, whatever, some period of time, you know, then the inspector will come back and give you a ticket, which will be the $100 thing you're talking about. But, you know, you can't try to give them a ticket and then tell them to call the district to come and pick the stuff up. I don't think that would be a little.
I agree with both your points, and the other thing is then there's court costs and everything that the city
Right.
is incurring because they're filing the liens, right? And time, and so
I don't know who is.
Well, if there's a
someone has to
case,
file it
somebody
with the
has to
court.
file it.
So you file it, and so someone has to pay for it, the
Yeah, I
city
don't know.
probably pays for it. So I agree with Holt and Jim that we need to have some type of, you know, time involved in this. My question is, does our city inspector, I mean, is there, because we have so many of these, you know, can they afford, I mean, do they have time to go out and, you know, go ahead and do the citation or warning and then come back 48 hours or whatever and re-inspect it? I think
Right.
your process is a good one.
It's reasonable.
Yeah, but do we have, I mean, are we running this inspector? I mean, what are their other duties that, you know?
And is it the code or is it the ordinance? I mean, we have to follow the code or
The
ordinance.
code is the
Yeah.
ordinance.
Okay, okay,
All of the ordinances of the city are
okay.
incorporated into the code.
Yeah,
If they're not, if it's not in the code, you know,
Yeah.
then it don't.
Okay.
That's the code that governs.
But I think it's great that we're discussing this. I think it's great that we've got a process here. I thank you guys for the work you put in it so far. I just think we need to kind of think about it a little bit more and try to get this thing a little bit more refined if we can. So, I
Or at
mean,
least the in-house part,
yeah, the in-house,
straightened out.
yeah. And then decide how we're gonna communicate this with our customers.
Right.
So,
Just so you know, fees are fees, they're not taxes.
yeah.
So
Did I say
therefore,
taxes?
they have to be based on actual reasonable estimates of the
What it is
cost
to do
Okay,
it.
yeah.
to do the provided services. Steve or somebody else did a lot of work in arriving at these numbers. They were not just pulled out of the air. I don't know if you have a worksheet that shows all your calculations or, that might be good to put in part of the record.
For the equipment I was using 2022 FEMA rates, what I was using for our people, our direct and indirect labor costs.
Right, I mean, did you
Yeah,
put them actually in writing somewhere, like a
and I'm just
cost
looking
of
at
service
the,
analysis, so to
I have
speak?
a spreadsheet for the equipment cost and then for the labor costs.
Okay, and did that go into showing how you came to $15, you know what I mean, these individual costs, or how did you?
Probably nothing as quantitative as you're asking for.
and so Steve, I'm looking at 9, construction demolition debris, non-contractor, 2 pieces, $40 each. You know, it could be like, what size, what are we looking at? Because you've
Maybe
got,
include some examples.
yeah, because you know, someone has sheetrock, you know, they've just done some work in their basement or whatever, and they have, you know, a piece of lumber and a piece of sheetrock. What are we charging them?
Well,
Drywall.
we don't do construction debris, do we?
Our ordinance or code actually says that we don't,
Yes.
except that the discretion of the general manager, if it's like a health problem, we can estimate the cost, take a deposit from the customer, and then the sanitary district can take the stuff away. And then if it ends up being less, the customer could get a little bit of a refund, I suppose. That's what the code says.
Yeah, this doesn't say non-construction demolition, it says construction demolition debris, non-contractor. So if you're doing some work on your own house, then it's $40 for each piece you put out there.
For 2 pieces,
2 pieces,
whatever a piece is.
right, it's not clear, but
Oh, because units, it says each.
Right.
So you've got two pieces, $40,
That is an each.
but then you've got each.
Right.
So we need to do more work on this.
I would ask you guys to, I know you've done great already, Steve, on this, thank you. But I think we need to kind of refine it somewhat. And, you know, I think that a board member should be involved in that discussion if you want.
Sounds good to me. Any volunteers?
Let's not volunteer Chris while he's not here, though.
Hey, Chris.
I just did, wait a minute. There. Chris, I think he just stood up.
Well, why don't you get a date of when you want to convene this discussion and your thoughts on, I think you guys need to do a little more work refining it before we do that discussion. And then we'll just talk amongst ourselves and see who can make that meeting. Maybe it might be two of us. It certainly won't be three.
Sorry.
It'll be maybe two. So.
Yes, sir.
I can usually make it most times after work.
Excellent, excellent start.
Yes.
Yeah,
Focus.
I really appreciate it. Yeah. Because we've needed this for a while, so thank you.
And I just see, Steve, for the questions that we've had here, furniture one piece, what does that mean? If we don't, yeah, is it a couch, is it a rocking chair? Kind of thing. I mean, that's a big difference. I'm getting a couch in the back of the truck compared to just a rocking chair that has a broken leg or something on it. So, yeah, we need to, I think there needs to be examples of that. But yeah, we can talk about that more when we get together, of how to clarify some of these things.
Okay. All right, shall we move on to the,
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Just so it's clear, in the meantime, the board wants the in-house
right,
methodology,
yes,
straightened out.
exactly.
Okay.
Okay, the next item I've got on the list is a resolution to declare 4 garbage trucks surplus. They're taking up space at central maintenance, and we got a person who came around last year wanting to make an offer to buy some of the trucks, and that person's come back around now this year. So I thought, before we can take an offer on it, we need to declare it surplus. And our R03 is 22 years old. It's no longer roadworthy because it has internal engine damage. R09 is 14 years old. It's no longer operable, and it has been used as a parts donor for repairs to other garbage trucks for more than a year now. That one's pretty close to stripped. R11 is a problem child garbage truck. It's 14 years old, and if we wanted to put it back on the road, we're looking at a $59,000 repair bill. This truck has the worst repair cost history in the whole fleet. Even before that $59,000, we've already spent $73,000 fixing this truck since 2018. Truck is bad luck.
So,
One more.
yeah, and then the other one.
R21 is 29 years old, and it needs $7,300 in repair. That would be like its book value, if that.
Okay. So,
Before you go, do you have what you just said in writing somewhere? That's going to be made a part of the board's record?
It's here.
Okay, but that's not in their hands.
Want to make a copy?
Well, at least it needs to be
no,
part of the record.
yeah, when we sign this, let's just attach it.
Okay.
So make a copy and attach it.
Very good.
All right.
Just so it's part of the board's record.
Steve,
Yes.
Dan said he'd make a copy for it.
Copies.
Initially, yeah, thanks to.
We saw pictures of a couple of these where, especially the R9, where we were taking parts off of it in the yard. So I think if someone is willing to, negotiate and scrap them for us.
You gotta either do it by auction, try it.
The idea is to try to auction them first,
Right.
and then if nothing sells, take them to Westville.
All right. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do the auction, see what we get out of it. And do you set a floor on that? You don't,
You can if you want.
Reserve?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the city usually has one coming up
Right, the city has one typically every year.
on all their equipment. That's where we sold stuff.
Surplus?
Yeah,
In the past, yeah.
so I'll check.
Would that be through the controller's office?
Yes. And the Board of Works.
Board of Works.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess at the end of this resolution where it says, is authorized to execute any documentation required to implement this resolution. Should we amend this resolution to basically say, we authorize the district to, thanks Ian, if the city has an auction, do we need to?
It says it's offered for sale at public auction.
Okay.
If it's,
So, yeah, but
Okay.
the intention there is
Right.
so that Mr. Milotovic can sign off on the title when
Yeah.
somebody buys it, or
Well, no, I understand that, but there's a procedure here how to get rid of them, as Jim is telling us. So procedure is, we gotta do an auction.
Right.
Second is, I just wanted to make sure that, it was descriptive enough for the city auction if we wanted to do that.
Sure.
Okay. All right, so can I get a motion on resolution number 1451-23 to declare the 4 Class A diesel powered garbage trucks, the model years 1994, 2001, and 2009 to be surplus and sold?
So needed any modifier to that? Okay, so moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, and we'll also attach to the signed resolution the description that Steve Stanford did on the various trucks and why, and the repair dollars that it'll need to repair them. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Dan. Okay, anything else?
we just kind of Holly already made an observation on that on the monthly reports. I think that'll take care of that.
Yeah.
I think so.
You're up next, Mr. Meyer.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Before you go, Jim, any comments on the monthly reports at all? Okay, Jim?
I don't really have anything new to, I don't answer any questions anybody might have,
Okay.
but, other than the things we've already talked about tonight,
Yeah.
there's really nothing else that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right, moving on to old business. Is there any old business? Any old business? Any old business? Any new business? New business? New business. All right, seeing that there's none, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, approve the,
Oh, yeah, geez, we didn't, oh yeah, I forgot that, I apologize. One of the most important monthly things. Can I get a motion to approve and allow revenue and tax levy claims for payment, please? Is there any questions on any of them?
I did not have a chance to go through it since I just got the packet this afternoon, so I have to
I don't think so.
lean on Ms. Rediger
Scott.
and
I'm sorry. Excuse me, on the payment register, the docket, H&G Plumbing and Heating, that just looked new to me. And I put a question mark
Was
by
that
it.
$18,000?
Yes,
$18,195.
Was the interior plumbing work at 431 Washington Street?
very good. Okay, thank you. Excellent.
Thank you.
I just noticed that I did not know, I had seen that on there,
That's what
that's all, and it was 18 grand, so I figured I would question and just see what it was.
You
Thank
should be up, I didn't.
Huh?
Yeah, this is lateral.
Hey, we all are.
Whoops.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve and allow revenue and tax claims for payment?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, now you can jump on.
All right, can I ask the board for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I thought you guys wanted to stay here a little longer with that. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye, aye.
All right, gentlemen, we'll see you at our next regular scheduled meeting, yet this July 26, 2023. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.